ni hao, xin chào, whatever else your greeting of choice may be from Haiphong, Vietnam. It's kind of miserable outside, so I'm going to try something new and record this video in here. In summer last year, I did a video rundown of my running shoe rotation at the time. It was one of my more popular videos so far, and I quite enjoyed doing it. So now that I've pumped out enough mileage to have pretty much replaced my entire lineup, I thought it might be fun to go through my latest running shoe rotation, and maybe even compare the shoes I'm running in now to the ones they've replaced from last year. I'm just going to preface this by saying that everything here is based on my own subjective experiences with these shoes and my opinions on how they feel. While I promise to be 100% honest, you may well disagree. So please do let me know what your experiences have been like if you've run in any of the shoes that I mention. After all, 因人而异. First up is the Bmai 远征者厚道, which I have been calling the Voyager Max. That was mainly because I couldn't find an English name for this shoe. However, recently the 远征者 6 has been released, and it has the word March written prominently on the upper. So I guess that's what Bmai have gone with. It's a little bit literal, but it's their shoe, so I guess I should be calling this the March Max until they come up with a name for this one as well. Anyway, I picked these up for 359 renminbi, and to date I have roughly 560 kilometers on them, which I think makes them the senior shoe in my current lineup. These occupy the soft, cushioned, easy day spot in my rotation, with a PB EVA blended midsole that offers a soft, forgiving ride and a pleasant if subtle bounce. They're quite heavy, but I do often feel like they're pushing me forwards in a way that other easy day shoes don't. And so, despite being a padded plodder on paper, they feel more comfortable to me at steady, top-end Zone 2, bread and butter daily miles sort of paces. I like the fact that they're soft but not mushy, and the fact they have the versatility to be more than just a recovery shoe, because I really don't feel the need to have a dedicated shoe for that. I also really like the midsole compound, and I'll be interested to see what Bmai do with it in future iterations of this shoe, if there are any. Having said all that, it would be nice if they were a little bit lighter. They don't feel like the 340 grams they are, but if they could shave off a little extra weight here and there, I could see myself lacing them up for my easier long runs a little more often. In terms of comparisons, they replaced the Nike Invincible 2 in my last rotation, and while the upper isn't anywhere near as comfortable as that shoe and the midsole isn't quite as bouncy or as soft, they are slightly lighter and feel more natural at steadier paces and over longer distances than the Invincible did for me. For me, the Nikes were a pure easy day shoe that started to feel a little bit heavy and a little bit mushy when going long or picking up the pace. These, on the other hand, feel more versatile and more closely fit the role of a cushion-focused daily trainer, which means they suit my personal preferences a bit better. I think objectively, the Invincible 2 is probably a better shoe, but I prefer the March Max because of the versatility. If you do have a slot in your rotation for a dedicated recovery shoe, then you'd probably prefer the Invincible. But if, like me, you want a daily trainer that can cover your recovery runs, but also churn out some mid-paced miles, then these might be worth a try. Next, we have the Reebok Floatride Energy 4, which I picked up for 328 renminbi and have taken me through just over 400 kilometers so far. At 282 grams in an EU size 45.5, these are my lighter weight, lower stack, more responsive daily trainers for days when I don't feel like I need to baby my legs quite so much. That said, they are very comfortable and more than cushioned enough for my daily miles. I really like the midsole compound in these shoes. It feels light and responsive without being too firm, and the ride just feels really natural at a variety of paces. They're one of those shoes that seems to disappear off the foot when you get going, and that's exactly what I want from a lightweight daily trainer. These replaced the Hoka Mach 4 in my lineup, which was a shoe I really liked at first, but which started to feel firmer and less enjoyable the more I ran in it. While the Mac was 30 grams lighter and felt very fast when doing strides, I vastly prefer the Floatride Energy for my daily miles, and there really isn't any contest for me. This is an upgrade for sure. This next shoe, and this is where people really might start to disagree with me, is the Devaite Nitro 2 from Puma. I got these for 609 RMB, and I've racked up just over 500 kilometers on them so far. These are nominally my current long run shoes, but for a variety of reasons, I haven't been managing to complete all that many long runs of late. It's kind of hard to categorize these ones, partly because they have a carbon plate in them, but I just want to say these are not super trainers. They use regular Nitro foam, which is a nice, cushioned daily foam, but not that exciting underfoot, and at 292 grams in an EU 45, they are very much middle of the road daily trainer weight. I don't have the exact weight of my original Endorphin Speeds, but these are roughly 50 grams heavier. You can pick up the pace in them for sure, but I prefer my fast shoes to be lighter and have a more modern, more responsive foam. They're a daily trainer and not a bad one. I just feel like I have to emphasize that they're not a super trainer, because some reviews online may give you that impression. Yes, they have some Nitro Elite foam, but it is a very thin layer and you will not feel it. In terms of likes, the outsole's grippy and there's plenty of consistent cushion that isn't too soft, so it holds up well over longer distances. In terms of dislikes, the upper feels cheap and ill-fitting. It's not terrible, but it's not good. This shoe is objectively a good daily trainer. But subjectively, I don't find it exciting to run in, and I don't look forward to putting it on my feet. I guess, quite fittingly, it replaced the Saucony Triumph 20 in my lineup. That was another shoe that didn't really excite me, though the Triumph was a very comfortable shoe. The Triumph was also only about 20 grams heavier, and if you adjust for size differences, I think there would be about a 10 gram difference. And honestly, I found it about as versatile, with vastly better comfort and fit. I probably preferred the Triumph for long runs and would happily take it out for regular daily miles in a way that I wouldn't use the Devaite Nitro. So while neither shoe blew me away, I think the Puma is a slight downgrade on this one. Moving on to the faster shoes now, we start with the Li-Ning Feidian 4 Challenger. I picked this one up for, well, I didn't pick it up at all, so I don't know how much it cost. It was a present from the missus, but it is currently available for around about 400 RMB, and it has been available at that price for a pretty long time now. I currently have about 190 kilometers on these, and they are the newest shoe in my current lineup. In terms of purpose, these are my threshold shoes, and also the shoes I would generally choose for my long runs when I have some sort of a tempo workout included. They are very light and very comfortable, though they do feel a little bit wobbly at times and tend to stress the stabilizer muscles in my legs more than any of my other shoes. They feel natural at pretty much every pace, from the steadier end of easy all the way up to all-out strides, which is about the fastest I ever run. The midsole is light, a little springy, and responsive. I feel like these would be perfectly fine for speed work, but personally I prefer to use them for threshold and longer tempo runs. I like pretty much everything about these shoes. The upper is light, breathable, and offers a snug and comfortable fit. The midsole feels lively and cushioned, and the shoes are very light. The grip is perfectly fine, and they don't feel crazy aggressive, making them enjoyable to cruise in. If I had to pick a dislike, I guess I'd say the stability and how the sides of my chin area sometimes ache a little bit after using it. Though, having said that, I did get that a little bit with the original Endorphin Speed, and I found it went away as my legs got stronger, so I don't really see it being an issue in the long term. Speaking of the Endorphin Speed, while this replaced the Bmai Carbon 42K2 in my lineup, I have to compare this to the Endorphin Speed because the two shoes feel so alike to me. I don't think this uses a PB midsole, but the underfoot feeling is still remarkably similar. And while this maybe doesn't feel 100% as poppy and fast and exciting, I do think it's really quite close. Certainly, It's better in every regard than the Bmai Carbon, and so it's a massive upgrade on its predecessor. Chinese shoe number 3 in my lineup. This one is the Qiaodan Feiying PB 4.0. It cost me 649 renminbi, and I've racked up about 290 kilometers on it so far. This shoe is slightly lighter than the Challenger and feels a little bit more aggressive, while maybe not quite so comfortable and cushioned. Because of that, it takes the speed day spot in my rotation. Although I should say the two shoes could very easily swap roles. I've got a full review of this one up on my channel, which you can check out for more details, but it basically feels like a cross between the New Balance RC Elite V2 and the Nike Vaporfly V2. Probably veering slightly closer to the Vaporfly in terms of the ride. This is also the lightest shoe I own. I love the midsole compound in this. It strikes a nice balance between cushion and propulsion, and the rest of the shoe works very well. It can cover a variety of paces, especially at the faster end of things, though it doesn't feel completely natural at slower paces. In terms of dislikes, I don't really like the tongue, but that's an insignificant issue and it hasn't caused me any discomfort. This one replaced the Vaporfly 2 from my last rotation, which is kind of the goat of speedwork and racing shoes, so it was never going to come out on top. But I must say it's been very impressive, all the same, and for the price, both this and the Challenger feel insanely good to me. Then there's the RC Elite V2 from New Balance. This was my go-to shoe for time trials and races after I retired the Vaporfly, but it's found itself usurped by the Qiaodan Feiying for shorter stuff. I would say the two shoes are fairly similar, with the RC Elite feeling a little more refined and having a better quality upper, and it's certainly more cushioned and protective. But it maybe doesn't feel quite as aggressive and propulsive over shorter distances at faster paces. I may need to reassess how I use this and start using it for my faster long runs or threshold runs in future, rotating between this and the Feidian Challenger. This one cost me around about 600 renminbi. I didn't buy it online, so I don't have the receipt, and I put about 260 kilometers on it so far. I do really like everything about this shoe, from the upper to the midsole to the outsole, and it's still my marathon shoe of choice. Again, if I had to state a dislike, I guess I'd say that it doesn't feel quite as fast underfoot as my experiences have shown it to be. But then it feels more comfortable than other race shoes I've tried, so I'm not even sure that that's really a negative. Anyway, apart from a few other shoes that I don't really use all that often, or have semi-retired by this point, that's my main running shoe lineup at the moment. As I said at the beginning, if you've run in any of these shoes and your experiences either fell in line with mine or were completely different, or you haven't run in them and you have some questions that I haven't covered in this video, please do feel free to leave a comment down below and leave a like and subscribe and all that if you like the video. And yeah, I hope this has either been informative or helpful or interesting, or that you've somehow got something else out of it. And I hope to see you next time out. Goodbye! Running in the jungle, running in the jungle. Oh, I'm falling down a hill.